I honestly never imagined I'd be saying this, but Hurricane Helene, a Category 1 storm, has caused serious damage right here in Augusta, Georgia. Yes, Augusta, Georgia. So this storm literally covered the entire state of Georgia. And here in Augusta, we're inland. So you remember I've mentioned in our videos before that hurricanes, when they hit the coast, they normally don't hit our area. We receive wind and rain. So for the first time in history, Augusta has been hit hard and significantly impacted by a hurricane. But in today's video, it's particularly unique because my husband and I, we were in Cancun, Mexico, celebrating our 27th anniversary when Tropical Storm Helene first made landfall in Cancun. So when we left home for our anniversary, we had no idea that we was going to return to an entirely different Augusta, Georgia that was affected by the same storm we experienced in Cancun. So in this video, I'm going to share with you our firsthand experiences with the storm, how it impacted our vacation, and the incredible damage, as you can see behind me, we saw when we arrived back to the Augusta, Georgia area. So on Tuesday, September 24th, while we were in Cancun, a lot of the businesses were literally boarding up their establishments in preparation for the storm that was coming. A lot of the local residents were getting off work early. The businesses were shutting down. We were trying to find food so we can hunker down. There was a shift going on in the environment. Literally, as I did this recording, as after we did this recording here, it started raining and the wind gusts just increased. It just really started getting really windy. So then later the next morning, about 2:30 in the morning, the storm went up a whole nother notch. The wind was really heavy. It was raining. The raining was starting to increase more. The wind was making this howling. The wind and the ocean together was making a howling noise. I'm really surprised that those trees stayed rooted, but the trees stayed rooted, but then the water started to increase to the point where we're on the fourth floor and water started coming into our unit. So we had two patio doors, started coming into this patio door first, and then it went into the bedroom patio door. And all throughout the night, the rain was coming in, and towards the day, it just literally just came into the unit. But as you can see here, which was really unusual to me, on the curtains, you'll be able to see that they're flapping back and forth. So the wind was coming through the window to the point where it was making the curtains flap. So now this is a little later in the morning, and as you can see, the wind and the rain has become a lot more aggressive. So I just took a peek out the window to determine whether or not we needed to go down to the lower level, because remember, we're on the fourth floor. This building had 5 floors, and we were still getting water. Water was still coming into both patio doors. And this is a concrete building, and now with the wind being so heavy, we're starting to feel a little swaying of the building. So by now, I really think we've made it through the hardest part of the storm. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. As you can see, the wind is still really heavy and aggressive. The rain is very heavy. It's coming down, really. It's pouring. And on this side of the building, there's a lagoon. And then on the other side of the lagoon is the ocean. And the street between our building and the lagoon is totally flooded. And we're now looking over, there's a roof right here. This red part is a roof. I'm really impressed with what appears to be a concrete roof. The integrity of the building was really solid. So this roof, I believe, is concrete. So after the storm, a lot of the employees of the resort were able to get off work early because of the intensity of the storm. Many of them do not have vehicles. They have motorcycles, so they have to ride their motorcycles regardless of the weather. And those who do have the vehicles, they ended up running into issues because the water is really deep at this point. Now the streets are flooded. Surprisingly, it didn't take long for the streets to dry up, and the cleanup crews were able to come out right away and start assessing the damage and cleaning up the damage that was done as a result of the storm. So now it's forecast that Hurricane Helene will pick up speed and head towards Florida, and next she will hit Georgia. So I've been tracking the storm, and we're here on the lower left in Cancun, and here in the right is Augusta. This is where my family is, in Augusta. And if you look at the storm, the path of the storm, like Augusta is right on the edge of the storm. So if the storm shifts once it hits landfall, we can get a lot of damage, but just really depending upon what it does. But right now, Augusta is on the edge of the storm. So, of course, we couldn't even imagine what we were in store for when we got back home. But when we returned on Saturday, it was actually September 28th. We witnessed firsthand what Hurricane Helene had done to our city. Just like behind us, it was shocking. We drove from the Atlanta airport. The closer we got to Augusta, the more severe the storm's aftermath became. And so, no, keep in mind that this is the first time in Augusta's history that a hurricane has hit this hard. So when we got back home to Augusta, it was really different. Power lines were down. As you can see here, we're literally driving over power lines. They were on so many different streets. We have electrical poles that have been knocked down, trees that are on the electrical wires. We have trees that are knocked into the street. We have trees that are knocked into the roads. We have trees that are literally into people's homes. As you can see here, the electrical line is, the power line is compromised. Here, there are trees that are literally uprooted and tossed across in different areas. The electricity is off in both counties, in Richmond and Columbia County. And it's a totally different situation here. And then a lot of the streets are normal, as if nothing at all has happened. A lot of the communities are normal, but then there are other communities and other areas where you really do see the footprint of the hurricane. Now, we do have a curfew in the area now, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And primarily the reason for that is because there are a lot of power lines, as you can see here. A lot of the power lines are low. So without natural daylight, because at night, without electricity here, it is pitch dark on these roads. So to prevent injuries of getting tangled in these power lines, or running over something, or running off the road, then we do have a curfew So 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. is our curfew. Look at those power lines, how low they are. They're literally on the ground. So not only was this the first time Augusta experienced anything like this to this degree, this was literally the first time for us as well, because my family and I, we moved to Augusta from the Chicagoland area back in 2015. So we've never seen anything like this before. I mean, like, we've been in snowstorms, several snowstorms, but this was totally different. We've been in high wind storms with Chicagoland area. This was totally different from anything we've ever experienced. So we experienced firsthand Cancun tropical storm, and then the aftermath of the same storm when we reached our home. But unfortunately, with this storm came unintended chaos, because there were reports of looting in the downtown Augusta area, activities that were not really welcome, which made the situation even more distressing to the community. But this was my first encounter with both a tropical storm and a hurricane, the effects, and it was definitely a different type of experience for me. So for Augusta, this is the first time a storm of this magnitude has caused such significant damage. But if there's one thing I've remembered from seeing other cities involved in these type of storms, is that the cities, they're going to recover, the cities rebound, they restore, they're made whole again. So I know Augusta is strong. We are going to, I have no doubt at all that we'll bounce back quickly. I've driven you all through a lot of the communities. A lot of the communities still look normal, but there are several areas that has been affected. The Red Cross is here. The National Guard is here. They've arrived. Boots are on the ground. So we are going to get back to normalcy, but please keep Augusta, Georgia in your prayers. Continue to stay tuned to the channel for updates on Augusta's recovering from the storm. I'm going to be giving you information on that as the weeks and the months go by. And then also I'll give you additional information on what it's like to live in the Augusta, Georgia area. So thanks again. I'm Delrisa Rollison, Augusta's relocation specialist, and I look forward to meeting you in person, and see you in the next video.